Welcome to the farm.
Welcome to the farm. I'm Justin, and today we're going to work on setting up a new heater for our shop. Now, exactly 1 year ago, we did a maintenance video on this heater here next to me, and it didn't go very well. When I was cleaning out the injector with compressed air, I didn't realize there was a seal on there, and I sent it flying. And when I put this thing back together, turned it on, diesel dumped out everywhere, and this started on fire. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to that in the description. Now, in the video, I didn't actually use the fire extinguisher on, but I was playing around testing with it, and I ended up starting it like really on fire outside. I had to use a fire extinguisher to put it out. I did end up putting the seal back in and getting this thing working. However, when I went to start it up in early fall to get some heat in the shop here, all that stuff from the fire extinguisher must have gotten in the motor, and the motor is seized. This thing will not work, and I'm not going to spend any money on fixing it. So what I ended up doing is buying a new heater, and this old heater is 95,000 to 135,000 BTUs. This new one is 180,000 to 220,000. So we got significantly more heat output, and what I'm hoping is when I plug this in and turn it on, it'll blow a lot more heat faster, because as I'm recording, I can't have the heat running, and the barn cools down very, very quickly. So I'm hoping in between takes I can turn this thing on and really get some heat moving. But let's go ahead, get this thing opened up, and get it together. Wow, it's so shiny and new. It is not going to look like this for very long, especially in this barn with all the dust. This thing's going to look like it's 100 years old in probably a couple days. Now, according to the directions, the only thing we need to assemble is a 3/4 inch and a Phillips screwdriver. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is assemble the wheels onto the lower frame here. And all we're supposed to do is stick the axle through, put on our little spacer here, slide our wheel on, put a nut on the end. So the directions say you only need 1 wrench, but just to make this easier, I'm going to use 2, and then I can tighten them together. Alright, so next we should be able to just take the heater, set it right down on the frame, and line up our holes. So the next part's gonna be kind of tricky. We gotta actually put the handles on top and then bolt through all of this with these screws. Unfortunately, the bottom bracket here is kind of pinched in and the holes aren't lining up. So I only need 2 holes on each side at a time. So I'm just gonna take one of the screws. I'm gonna pull this frame apart here, stick a screw through, just to hold that in place. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Then I can get the first handle on, pull that screw out, put the next handle on. That was a pain in the butt. The holes did not want to line up at all, but we got them in. Now I don't have these tight, I just have them started, so that way hopefully we can pull these two screws out and still be able to adjust this bar without fighting these screws. Hopefully this next one goes a lot easier than that one did, because that was awful. Alright, well, that was a pain in the butt. This would be a really easy thing to assemble if you could just get the holes lined up. The problem is all the tubes are kind of pinched in, they're not straight, so you gotta like fight to pull everything out and line it up, and it's trying to line up 3 different sets of holes, and it could have been a lot easier to do. But we got it together. The last thing we need to do is get our cord hanging handles on our handle. So to get our cord holders installed, there's these little holes inside the handle. There's this little pin here, and all we should have to do is line that up and snap them in. Just like that. So it's a lot easier to snap these things in if you kind of rock them in, like you put the top in first, then you kind of push down. It kind of opens up the one side and works in a lot easier. Trying to push it straight on was a little bit of a pain. But I think we have everything fully assembled now. So all we gotta do is get some fuel in this thing and test it out. So this heater here is a multi-fuel heater. It runs on kerosene, diesel, jet fuel. I usually run it on diesel because I usually have off-road diesel on hand. Unfortunately, all my 5-gallon jugs are empty. So what we're gonna have to do is probably get the fuel out of this thing, because in early fall, I dumped 10 gallons in here thinking I was gonna rip and roar with this thing and let it run for 10 hours or however long I was out here and just let it heat. Unfortunately, it did not start. Now there is a drain plug on the bottom of this tank. Unfortunately, I don't really want to pull that right away, because that 10 gallons is gonna come just pouring out of there, and all I have is 5-gallon buckets and some drip pans, and I wanna be able to reuse that fuel in here. So I think what we're gonna do is try to transfer a bunch of it from here into here right away, and then we'll pull the drain plug to drain the rest of it after. So I think the best way I can think of to try to easily transfer fuel from here to here is with one of these 5-gallon hand pumps. We'll suck out as much as we possibly can with this, and then we'll drain the rest out of the tank after. Well, that worked extremely well. There's hardly any fuel in here left at all. I'm not even going to worry about pulling that plug and draining that little bit. So I think we're ready to close this up, turn it on, and test it. So before we turn this on, let's get everything kind of set. This has 2 settings in the back. It's got a low setting and a high setting. I'm going to leave it on high because when I use this thing, I want it to pump out a lot of heat quick. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the temperature on here so it doesn't heat the shop too much. And I'm just going to turn it down to 60 because normally when I'm out here, I'm dressed pretty warm anyway. You just really want to take the chill out, and 60 is still pretty warm. So I think with that, we're ready to go ahead, plug this thing in, test it out. All right, plugged in. Switch on. Let's see what it does. Oh, that's blowing out some good heat already. But you can kind of see why I don't like running it when I'm recording, because it's actually pretty loud. Really, this one's quieter than my old one, which is really exciting, but I still think it's not going to go good for videos. Well, I am so excited to have heat back in the shop. Today it's not that crazy cold. It's like 37 degrees Fahrenheit, above freezing. Pretty tolerable in here. I mean, you can still see my breath pretty good, but I could comfortably work in here. Now starting like tomorrow, I think we're supposed to have temperatures in like the negatives. So when it gets that cold, it's amazing to have some heat in here. And I am really happy with how much heat this thing's gonna put out. It's gonna be way more than my last one, and I think it runs quieter. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. I just wanna say thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.